on the seabed. Alright, so this episode is going to be about service dogs. I have a service dog. I've had him for a few years now. He's been to both my programs, PTSD programs at Batavia. He not only helped me out along the way, but he also helped out a lot of vets along the way that went through that program. It was nice to have him there because if I had been all alone, I don't know if I would have made it the whole way, to tell you the truth. His name's Mayhem, and he keeps me going a lot of times. And it's funny because the more you get to know your dog, this is pretty much any dog for the most part. Well, I can't say that. There's a lot of pretty dumb dogs out there. So, but this one was trained, so it goes around wherever I go for the most part. Sometimes I can't bring him if I'm working at a job site and it's, I'm doing demo or some dangerous stuff. There's too much stuff around, or there's infestation or an old infestation. I'm not gonna bring him there, because I'm not gonna bring him into dangerous situations or unsafe or unhealthy situations. So I'm not gonna do that. But he stays usually with me most of the time, and he does a good job at keeping in between me and other people, because I just don't like people getting into my space. So it helps out with that. When I'm sleeping, I do know when I'm having nightmares, he'll kind of, I don't know if he's waking me up or I'm waking up myself, but he's usually right there in my face. So it helps to have Mayhem there right away, right there, to bring me out of whatever I'm going through at that moment in time with the nightmare or whatever. Hi. So this is Mayhem. This is my pit bull service dog. So he was in the Batavia program with me in the residential program podcast. He was lying down. He's pretty lazy most of the time. So, but he loves attention. So you'll be seeing him a lot in this video. And I'm going to be showing you what he can do. Yeah, I know you're tired, right? All right, so where do we start in this episode? I know a lot of vets have asked me before how to go about getting a service dog. So the first thing you got to do is get a recommendation from your counselor. So I have the letter right here. This is from the VA. This is from my counselor. So I can read it to you, and you can make adjustments to whatever you need and let your counselor know this is what you want to do. I'll get into where to get the service dog after that, but you got to get this if you want to get it from the VA anyway. So, to whom it may concern, my name is bleep, bleep, bleep. I am a behavioral health social worker at VA Western New York Healthcare System, community-based outpatient clinic. I've been working with Mr. David Byer since July 2019. It is my professional opinion in my role as licensed clinical social worker that Mr. Byer would greatly benefit from a trained service dog to help with his diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a service-connected disability. And then it says basically if you can provide further assistance, she can be reached at this, and then signs. This is what I took to Western New York Heroes and started the process for getting a service dog. So, and then if they have a class going on, I think there was 4 dogs in the class that Mayhem came from, and 4 or 5, can't remember. But we then worked, all the vets work with their dogs that they were going to eventually get, which we did. And took them all over the place to malls, a bunch of other stuff with people around, so we could walk them through it, and they'd listen to us. So and then follow our commands, do stuff like leave them around the corner, then you walk around the corner, then you call them. I'm gonna give some demonstrations of what Mayhem here can do. He's a pretty lazy dog, very lazy actually, and he's got a lot of quirks. It's funny because I take him into crowds and stuff. He does not like crowds, which is like, yeah, sometimes I wonder, I was like, who's whose service animal here? Am I his service animal or fucking sometimes? But, I don't like those situations to begin with anyway. So he probably picks up on what I'm picking up on, and I just want to get the fuck out of there. So, right, buddy? Doesn't like to stick his head out of cars, which I don't freaking know any dog that doesn't like doing that. He doesn't like doing that. Let's see, he doesn't like going out in the rain. He doesn't like going out in the cold if it's too windy. You name it, man. If it's too hot. So, and he is not going to wander anywhere, man. If I leave him out too long, he'll be sitting right at the door in the backyard. I've got it all fenced in so he can run around with my daughter's dog. So, doesn't really bark. Although he's looking at something outside. He sees another dog. Let's see if he barks. But, what do you see? Yeah, it's daytime, so I got the window open here. It's a little extra light, but didn't bark at all. Doesn't really do that. He'll start whining if he's close, or he's close to other animals. He start whining, but that's about it. This one, he'll usually bark at night if there's something going on outside. So at least he lets me know what the hell's going on outside, even though I got freaking alarm systems, security cameras, all kinds of shit around my house anyway. At least he, wakes me up if there's something going on, which is good. So, and, when I'm having nightmares, he's usually, if he's not in the bed already, he's right to the side, kind of with his paws up on the bed, nudging me. So at least there's somebody there when I get up from these things, so it brings me kind of back into reality. So, but, all right. All right, today we have Mayhem in the house. So he's going to be here for the service dog episode. And we're going to go over the do's and don'ts, some of the do's and don'ts, some of the stuff that I've seen before, and what's happened in the past as well. So one of the first things when you come across somebody with a service dog is speak to the owner. Don't speak to the dog. Don't be, oh my God, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Because then he'll completely forget his shit. And normally he'll look at me and see if it's okay, especially when I have him in full gear and everything. He isn't in his gear. He doesn't have his vest on. I usually have a pinch collar as well too. Hates the pinch collar. So other than that, don't fuck with him. Don't touch him. Don't look at him. Don't talk to him. Don't feed him. Definitely don't feed the dog. Right, Mayhem? You don't want to be fed, right? Hey. Yeah, he's yeah. You don't want to be fed? Yeah, he's like, fuck this. Why am I here? I told him not to lie down, but he's going to eventually conk out and lie down anyway. So, but yeah. But yeah, whenever I bring him out to a restaurant or a bar grill or whatever, everybody wants to feed him. Yeah, I'll get him water because that's okay. But if you see a service dog and they're feeding them, it's probably not a service dog. That's a big thing. Don't feed them. I'll usually get them water, like I said, and it'll be okay. And the dog shouldn't be barking. They should be out of the way. A lot of times he'll go under the table. You won't even know he's there. I've had him in a couple restaurants, and the server was, Mayhem, where are you going? What are you doing? Say he's getting tired. He's gonna lie down. Hey, sit. Where are you going? Can't see on the camera now. Mayhem. Yeah, so I had him in a restaurant once before, and he was a bunch of times before, and he was under the table, and the server didn't even know. All right, there's going to be a bunch of breaks in this video because he keeps on moving around the couch and going out of camera. So, but he's getting tired. It's nighttime, and I know he just wants to lie down. I'll keep on telling him to just sit, stay. There's nothing over there. I'm good. So anyway, one of the other things is don't ask the owner what's wrong with them or why they have the service dog. I've gone into a couple places actually, and they've asked me, what is he for? Yeah, I said, no, the service dog. He says, my service dog. And then they'll keep on pressing. One guy that I was still on the program for the first time that I went to the program, I think we went bowling or something like that, and one of the guys was asking, what is he for? What is he for? So yeah, he does not want to sit there, so I'm going to let him lie down. So anyway, what happened there was the guy kept on asking me, why do I have him? Why do I have him? And I said, finally I said, none of your fucking business. And the coordinator was there with me. I told him, listen, this guy asked me one more fucking question, I'm going to knock his teeth in. I got pretty pissed off. Well, I was there because of anger anyway, but the first, I was there both times for anger. But anyway, not the point. Yeah, we took care of it, and that's one of the things I'm going to go over next is what the American with Disabilities Act says about service dogs. Now, that's a federal law. So if you go into a place and they say you can't have that dog in here, well, 9 times out of 10, yeah, you can. And they just want to be assholes or something like that. And I've gone to a couple places like that, and I said, well, I'm not, a lot of guys will be like, I'm not going to, just forget about this, too much hassle, I'm leaving, whatever. But I tend not to do that. It got to the point where the one place, it was a bar grill or something like that, and I said, I'm not leaving. I want some food and this and that, and I'm going to get it. And the one lady I'm going to call the police. And I was like, good, go call the police, because when they get here, they may tell me to leave, but I'm going to get the police report of what happened, and then I'm going to take that police report and I'm going to go to my lawyer. So, and then usually somebody else comes out, the owner or something like that, what's going on, and, it got escalated like that, and he knows this particular time, he knew what the deal was, and he said, sorry, completely apologized for it. He said, you can't kick this guy out. So he didn't want the smoke or whatever, so, and legal smoke anyway, but... So that's the thing with that. So I'm going to go over all the ADA stuff in a little while. And that's about it. All right. Well, welcome to the ADA part of the podcast. This is the Americans with Disabilities Act. So in the ADA requirements or the law, or I don't know what it is, actually it's the act, so whatever wording they have in there, basically it says the ADA requires state and local government agencies, businesses, and non-profit organizations that provide goods or services to the public to make reasonable modifications in their policies, practices, or procedures when necessary to accommodate people with disabilities. Now, service dogs, service animals fall under that. So I am going to go over, basically, I read the whole thing. I am not an expert on this. You can find this online. Just look up ADA. There's questions and answer. There are FAQs. There's all kinds. If you actually want to read the whole document, I'm pretty sure that's out there too. I'm not going to even go into legal stuff, real legal stuff like that. But this is basically an overview that I got, that I wrote down. A bunch of the questions that people were asking, they're pretty much what everybody asks and what everybody wants to know. So first, if you get to a place and it says no pets, you'll see a no animals on the door or whatever. That does not apply to your service dog, period. I've been asked a couple times, is he in training? Is he not in training? So I looked that one up too. And our service dogs, if they're still in training, covered under the ADA? And the answer to that is no. So they have to be fully trained to do their task or function, whatever they're trained to do. They have to be fully trained in order to fall under the ADA. So if it's a dog in training, they do not have to let it in the establishment. They don't have to make any accommodations or anything for that animal at that time. Now, questions that can be asked, I get this all the time, and this is one I do know from a while ago. What are they? Because I get all kinds of questions. I've got questions about, why do you need him? Why is he there? He can't come in here if he's going to be, just all kinds of crap. And I'm not saying everybody's going to counter this, but there's certain places you just walk in there, they're like, I can tell immediately if that person's going to be a fucking jackass or not. So it helps to know this stuff. So one of the things that can be asked is the service dog required because of a disability? The answer to that, yes. You don't have to give them your life story. I see a lot of vets, they open up about their entire life, and it's like, dude, less is more, man. Just shut the fuck up. I know everyone wants to be nice and everything like that, but do you go up to somebody in a wheelchair that had both legs blown off or something like that, or they're quadriplegic or whatever, and you ask them about their life story? You don't do that to any other disabled people, right? So that's all they have to know. Yes, that's it. So the second thing is, what work or task has the dog been trained for? What I say is that he keeps me in a stable condition. So you don't have to threaten anybody, because I know I'm trying to say it in a nice way, because you can say something like, well, he's going to keep me from fucking killing you if you ask me any more fucking stupid questions. But that's probably not going to go over too well. You don't want to bring attention to yourself too. That much attention. Yeah, when they ask something like that, you can make up your own story and figure out what you want to tell them. I don't like giving out my life story. I'm pretty short with them. I don't like small talk. I just don't do it, man. So I come up with my own stuff, and that's the way it's going to be. So you have to come up with your own story, whatever you want to call it, as well too. So what they're not allowed to do, they're not allowed to request documentation. I've heard this a ton of times. They'll say, let me see a certification. So the ADA, first of all, the ADA does not require not certificate. They have to be trained, but they don't have to. You don't have to carry around a fucking certificate all over the place, because half the time those certificates can be bought. Even the ADA recognizes that there's a lot of fraud and fake shit out there. So you do get. I still haven't even gotten my certificate for Mayhem from the place that he was trained. So one of these days I'll go up there and get that. But yeah, you don't have to carry that around. So they're also not allowed to ask for demonstrations or ask about your personal disability. Well, why do you have PTSD, or why have him around, or, are you really that bad you're walking around, that kind of shit, Or they want to say, hey, what can he do? Well, show us what. Fuck off, man. Next person I'm going to call is a lawyer then after that too, and I'll tell you if you do have problems, if you think you're being discriminated against, where you can go to file this, and it's they're not going to want to deal with that crap. So, but anyway, I'm going to go over some of the things that I've seen as well too, and what they can and cannot do. So a lot of people ask if they have to wear a vest or anything that signifies that they're a service animal. No, they do not have to wear a vest. If you don't want your dog to wear a vest, they don't have to wear a vest. I put the vest on Mayhem and a pinch collar because that's how he knows he's working. So that's why I do it. Some places I just won't. If I go to the VA or something like that for counseling, a lot of times I'll usually put the pinch collar on him, because when I'm walking around with Mayhem and he doesn't have that stuff on, he thinks he's just going to hang out and do whatever he wants. He starts pulling on the leash and stuff like that, and it just gets annoying. Then I get pissed off. So, that defeats the whole purpose of having a service dog if I'm getting all fucking pissed off at my service dog, right? So I'll put the pinch collar on just because he remains under control when I do that, and he won't try to pull, he won't try to do all this other nonsense, chase squirrels or whatever the fuck he's gonna do. But food lines, are they required to let service dogs in a food line? Yes, have to let them in. Regular hotel rooms, they have to give you a regular hotel room. They can't put you in a dogs only. They put you down at the end of the hotel where there's a bunch of dogs and they're all barking all over the place. And no, you have to. If you walk in with a service dog, that service dog, like I said in one of the videos, is invisible. It's like that dog's not even there. So they have to treat you as that dog's not there. They have to put you in a regular room with all the rest of the people that go in there without dogs. They can't just cordon you off, and they can't. If you go in there and request non-smoking, smoking, whatever, they have to do that. So they can't just put you wherever they want. They also can't charge you extra or fees or cleanup fees or any of the crap like that. You are a regular customer when you walk in there. It's like you're walking in a hotel, like I said, by yourself. There ain't no extra fees. There ain't no extra nothing. There's no dog fees. There's no nothing. So now, can you leave your service dog in the room? No, because what the ADA states is that dog has to be under your control at all times. It can't be barking. It can't be out of control. It can't go after people. It can't be a disruption. And when I mean disruption, if he's barking or running around, you let him off the leash or whatever, because once you let him off the leash, he is not in your control. So now I have heard of instances where somebody with PTSD doesn't want to go into a room until it's been checked out first. Now, is it okay to let the dog off the leash to go look in the room if that's what his task is, to go look in the room, come back, basically tell the owner you're good to go, the room's been cleared, whatever you want to call it? Yes, you can do that, but then he immediately has to be put back on the leash. Let's see, hospitals. I've had a couple instances where I went in the hospital and they questioned me about bringing him into a patient room. If you can visit the patient or wherever the patient goes, they have to be allowed to have their service dog. Or if you go in to visit somebody, you have to be allowed to bring your service dog. Now, where they can't go, in the sterile environments, obviously, because you can't even go in a sterile environment. So patients can't go there. Visitors can't go there. Operating rooms. Say, for instance, if it's a quarantine area, I guess, stuff like that has to be sterile. Or breathing environments, it has to be sterile. But again, you couldn't even go in there by yourself. So yeah, bringing a dog in there, you can't just say, I'm going to bring my dog and now you have to let me in. No, it doesn't work like that. So let's see, city licensing. Are you obligated to license your dog like a regular dog? I thought the answer to this one was going to be no, because I did talk to my town that I'm in and tell them it was a service dog, and each municipality might be different. So maybe I'm going to go back down to the town and ask him about this, because I want him to be in compliance with the town that I'm living into, so there's no problems. But they never contacted me back because I told them it was a service dog, and they just haven't said nothing. So I'm assuming maybe we have different regulations out here. So you have to do whatever the town that you're in says you have to do. Now, does it have to be licensed as a service dog? No, they can't make you register something as a service dog. It just has to be registered as a dog, like any dog. They might have reduced fees because of a disability or whatever. Same thing with taxes, that kind of stuff. So they could have that. Now, some towns might have ordinances, or some businesses or whatever, wherever, ordinances, or what do they call those things? You have like a community and they have some rules. I can't remember what they call it, but there's certain places that they will have a ban on a breed. Can they do that with a service dog? No. Doesn't matter what breed it is. They have to I don't care what the fuck they say about a ban on it. You walk in and say, no, we have a ban on pit bulls. Well, I don't give a fuck. This is a service dog, so you're going to let them in. And a lot of times I'll get that too. I've been asked that a few times, actually. Do you have problems bringing a pit bull in? Because I've been walking around with Mayhem, especially in the city, and people will walk across the street because it's a pit bull, and pit bulls do have a reputation. So he's seen him already on the video. He ain't gonna do anything to anybody. He's nice with everybody. You never tell. It's still an animal. So, but there is no restrictions on breed anywhere. Can they refuse access for certain breeds? Obviously, no. If there's ordinance for a ban on breeds, no, can't do that either. It must be under the owner's control, like I said before. So it has to be on the owner's control. If it's off the leash, if it's wandering around, you cannot do that. Do not do that. So here's some different places also now. So if you think you've been discriminated against, if you walk into a place, like I said, if I walk into a bar and grill and they say, no, you have to get out, we're going to call like I said, the one place was going to call the police. I said, go call the police then, because please give me freaking more ammo to take your ass to court, because I'll wait for the police And if they say you have to let them in, no, I want to report on this one because I'm going to leave this place and then I'm going to go to my lawyer. So where do you go if you think you've been discriminated against? There's file and paperworks that are online. You will file a complaint with the DOJ. That's the Department of Justice. That's federal. So the ADA falls under federal jurisdiction. So you will also be able to file a private lawsuit in federal court under the ADA. Those are some pretty hefty, not retaliation, but like I said, if you think you're discriminated against and you bring that up, most establishments are not going to want to fuck with the federal government. So if it was local, they might, be like, fuck you, I know the judge or whatever. Yeah, not federal. You don't want to fuck with the federal system. That, freaking criminals don't even like doing shit like that. Oh, that's federal. I'm not going to do that. So now, religious organizations, are they exempt from the ADA? Yes, they are exempt from the ADA. So I'm not sure if they tell you to leave, you're not covered with the ADA. So I guess you'd have to follow whatever they say because they also have protection. I don't know what it is under the federal statutes as well too. So housing, if it has to do with federal housing or the state housing or that kind of stuff, that's covered under the ADA. However, the rest of that is covered under the Fair Housing Act, which kind of covers people with disabilities. So there's another act so if you go to get an apartment or something like that and they say, oh, nope, you're not coming in here because the dogs are, well, all right, well, now I'm going to file under the Fair Housing Act, and that's still, I believe that's still a federal thing. And the other one is airlines. Do they have to allow you on? Because I've seen some fucking weird shit when I'm on the airlines that people bring in, and over the last 4 years or whatever, you see people just bringing just fucking pigs. And I heard about an ostrich. That couldn't be true. That's just so ridiculous. It could. I mean, how the fuck are you going to get an ostrich on a flight? I'd fucking laugh my ass off. I'd have to take a picture of that one if I seen that. But people were bringing some weird shit onto airplanes, and I think they finally came to their senses recently. I was like, nah, this is enough. Enough is enough. So, but they do not fall under the ADA, but they do fall under the, what does this say? Air Carrier Access Act, which does apply to people with disabilities. So that, again, they might not fall under the ADA, but they still fall under another. I don't know what the fuck the logic is on that one. It's U.S. government, so who the fuck knows? So you're still covered, but I'm not going to go into the Fair Housing Act or the Air Carrier Access Act. So if you want to look up that stuff, if you're having a problem with housing or airlines, go look at those and figure that out. So it shouldn't be that difficult to find that stuff. So that wraps up pretty much the law and service dogs. So now there is something else, a little caveat to this is service animals, right? So I have a service dog. I don't have a service animal. So when they talk about service animals, one of the things they were talking about, I think, was, I think they said anything that's within reason, I guess. So within reason lately has, what the fuck knows what's reasonable nowadays, right? But, one of the things on there was miniature horses, which, I mean, shit, man. Like, some of this stuff, like restaurants, hotels, airlines, housing, how the fuck are you going to bring a miniature horse? What the fuck, man? So, and it goes the same thing when I heard about the ostrich and shit. The ostriches are big. I've been next to an ostrich, and that's not a small thing. Like, you see it on cartoons and shit like that, and it's like you're burying its head in the sand and shit. And no, ostriches are big, and they can fuck you up. So they're pretty nasty birds. But seeing people with pigs, like, I don't know what they're, like potbelly pigs, I don't know what the hell they are. You can get into ridiculous shit then. I've seen snakes. I mean, I fucking hate snakes. But if you're going to go down that road, that's not what this is about. This is about service dogs because, like I said in the beginning, I'm going to talk about the shit that I know about, and it's going to be real. So I have Mayhem, my service dog. He's great. I would recommend that with anybody for PTSD. I know all the vets at the PTSD program in Batavia. I keep on bringing up that, but I know he helped a lot of guys down there who came in contact with him. That was one of the things that they loved to see every morning. He'd run down to the main area where we have to get up in the morning, and he'd run down there, want to greet and, hang out with everybody. They all petted him, and, some of the staff was kind of wonky, like, don't let anybody pet him, make sure he has his, fuck that. They're vets, man. It's my service dog. I'm going to let a vet pet my service dog. So if that gives them relief or keeps them in the program, a couple guys said they were going to fucking leave. If it hadn't been for Mayhem, they would have left. So, hey, this podcast is all about that. I'm about all that right now. If I can help one person out there, and if petting my service dog when they're not supposed to, if he's got a vest on or whatever like that, and that helps him just in one instant, maybe say, hey man, I should get a service dog. And then all of a sudden that turns around his life and he starts wanting to do shit for himself. And believe me, I know those freaking holes that we all go down, that depression and just hopelessness and feeling like you're completely off the reservation and just check the fuck out. So I recommend a service dog for anybody that needs to get the fuck out of that hole. So something to take care of. They're with you all the time. They definitely will bring you out of that I don't know what you call it, just when I start staring off into nowhere, I forget where the fuck I am, what time it is, how long I've been staring at the wall or whatever. He'll usually come up to me and, start pushing my arm, wants to get petted and stuff. And I'd be like, holy shit, man, how long was I freaking staring at the wall for? So I recommend them 100%. They're great. So right on.